Hey guys, George at SoundTraxx here. Today we're going to jump into episode 4 for the Blunami App overview. Today we're going to cover the speed settings and the CV settings and some of the advantages that you can do with the Blunami App that's a little tougher to do with DCC. So let's get started. Now, as we've done in the past, we've gone over the app in very great detail, showing you all of the cool stuff that the app can do to kind of show you where to find a lot of the cool things that you can do with your decoder. Now, today we're going to jump into the two of the last, I got one more set scheduled, but two of the last things that we're going to jump into, and that's going to be the speed settings menu and the CV settings. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the app, and you can see it on the screen here behind me. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go to the gear, which is where our settings are. And then we're going to go ahead and go to speed settings. Now in speed settings, this is where you can create custom speed tables. You can create, a 3-point speed table, or you can adjust and play with some of the momentums and back EMF. So we're just going to jump into those really quickly. So first off, there at the top, you've got speed settings. You can see your acceleration and deceleration rate. That's your CV3 and 4 value. As you can see on the screen, I like mine very, very high. And what that does is it allows the dynamic digital exhaust processor to have time so that it changes how the prime mover responds as you're running your locomotive. And then also with the brakes, I can have a high braking rate, cut the throttle, and my locomotive or my train will coast for quite some time. And then I can set the brakes and bring my locomotive to a stop more quickly. Now, here's where you can select the normal direction of travel. So in this particular locomotive, of course, the short hood or the front is going to go forward. But let's say you have a GP7 or GP9 that ran long hood forward. You can wire it up normally and then just click that and it'll change the normal direction of travel. Long hood forward loco, when you move forward, it would run in the forward direction versus having the short hood forward. So again, this is where you can customize it. Now that particular setting is stored in CV29 for those of you guys using the regular Tsunami 2s. You can also adjust what's called a constant brake distance. And what that's saying is that when I set the locomotive to a speed step 0, the locomotive will always stop within the same amount of distance no matter how fast it's going. So if you're running at speed step 50 and you cut the throttle to 0, as soon as it receives that 0 command, it starts the constant brake distance and will stop within about an inch at the same point every single time. So you want to make sure to send that command. And this is where you can adjust it. And there's not really a scaler, like say, for example, a value of 50 equals 50 centimeters or whatever it is. You'll have to kind of play with it and adjust it. And so you'll find the value that works best for you. Now also you've got your speed step mode, which is your 128 speed steps. And that's ideally where you want to do it. And that has less to do with the actual speed step command because the app and your DCC system most of the time are going to be sending out in 128 because it takes 0 to 100% and cuts it up into 128 slices. So you can imagine that it's much more refined, smaller increments versus like say a 28 or if I'm running an even 14 speed step mode. But it actually has less to do with the command, but more to do with the decoding of the DCC signal. Because 14 speed step mode has the headlight command, which is the 1s and 0s coded, in a different portion of the DCC command than from 128 speed step mode. And so this is where you're going to check that to make sure it matches. And again, this is stored in CV29. The last one here is speed table method. For whatever reason, it says not found. We've got the default 3-point, which is just a straight linear table. And that's where you would normally find that. Next, you can build your 3-point speed table. So here you can see that I have actually got a normal, they're all set to 0, which means it's the straight linear table. So 0 speed step, and then you just work up a linear table. But you can go in and adjust this. Now, V-start, I usually recommend leaving at 0, especially with today's back EMF decoders. You shouldn't ever have to change that from 0. But of course, every model's different. As soon as I say that, somebody in the comments is going to say, well, I set it to this all the time. Great. If it works for you, use it. But the back EMF takes care of most of the V-start by itself without having to go in and make any changes. Then you can go to V-mid and V-high. So basically, you can create a custom table of your desire. So if you want more control at the lower speeds, and then when you get to a higher speed, you have higher increments. Again, it's up to you. Find out what you like, but this is where you would set it. Next up, for those of you who really want to speed match. Now, if you really want to have two locomotives that can hold a piece of paper between the knuckles without dropping them throughout the entire speed range, this is where you're going to do it. You're going to do it through the 28 speed steps. You're not going to have a 5-second procedure. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to speed step 1 of 28, and you have one locomotive that works the way you want it. The second locomotive is the one you're matching, and you're going to play with those settings until they match. Each one of those 28 speed steps, you're going to do that 28 times. Now, when you're done, you're going to have two perfectly matched locomotives. So the good news is your work won't go without reward, but I personally don't spend a whole lot of time on it. This locomotive has run with consists of 3 and 5 engines. Not once have I ever messed with the speed tables. If you guys want to have a deeper conversation about that, give me an email at georgeb@soundtraxx.com, and I'll be happy to share my beliefs and my views on it, especially with today's back EMF decoders. You almost don't need any of that. But if you have two models that will run very, very differently, let's say for argument's sake, you're trying to run this with a steam engine or whatever. If you have one that's really drastically farther, if you can't settle it down in the 3-point speed table, then use the 28 step and you're good to go. Now, this also has what's called forward and reverse trim. And forward and reverse trim helps compensate for differences in when you're moving in forward and moving in reverse. And what happens is as we're running primarily in forward, the gears tend to get broken in a little bit more. So when it goes backwards, the gears don't quite mesh as well because we don't run them backwards as often. And so this helps overcome for that, gives you a little bit of a trim. It'll slightly boost the shift the table up or down, just again, depends on where you're at. So experiment with it and play with it. Sometimes that's all you may need to do just to slow it down just a tick, just enough to get going. But as you can see, there's all 28 speed tables set there. Now the last one here is your motor tuning CVs. This is where you can look at your back EMF sample periods, your KPKI coefficients. Back EMF cutout means what speed step will the back EMF cut out of. And then you've also got things like low speed compensation. So if you have a locomotive that's slightly surging at lower speeds, you can take that and increase it. And you can also adjust it, again, depending on how your model's running. Normally, most cases, I'll take that and set it to 255. In this particular case, I didn't need to. You got feedback intensity. That's how much of the back EMF compensation you're going to have. I always leave this at full compensation. Aperture time, and then here's your reference voltage. This is one I do normally change, and apparently I haven't on this one. But I like to set it to a value of 120, which represents 12.0 volts. This is CV215. And the reason is that because if I go to a lower voltage system and my decoder's expecting 15 volts, then the back EMF compensation may be too high. And so you may have a locomotive that seems to run a little faster. So again, you want to make sure that these match your locomotives within all of your fleet. Now we've got speed step deadband, and we've done videos on this. This will say the decoder won't actually physically start moving until speed step X as set in this one, which is CV216. So if you're not moving, if you don't want to move your locomotive until say speed step 5, all your sounds will start acting up. So your prime mover is going to notch up. It's going to start working. You're going to hear that compressor and everything working as it's trying to get the locomotive going. And then when you get to speed step 5, your locomotive will start moving as if it were at speed step 1. So it just shifts the table down just a little bit. So experiment with that and you might like it. Max recovery speed has to do with if your decoder shuts down and comes back on when that DCC command is being broadcast, at what speed does it recover? And that's basically where that comes into. And now you've got auto stop enable and enable back EMF. These are things, this auto stop determines how long the locomotive stops if you just send a direction. So if you switch from forward to reverse without changing the throttle, what this will do, this will say it'll stop for basically half a second, let everything catch up and let the pressure off the motor, rather than just, turning and then immediately jumping. Come to a stop about half a second, then start turning and going the other way. So I always leave that enabled, but I also don't use the direction while I'm moving. So that's covering on the speed steps. Now the last things I want to talk about today is in the CV settings. And here you can scan and read all CVs. So for those of you guys that use that third-party program, when you read CVs, you can go out and get a sandwich, read War and Peace, grab a beverage, come back, and it might be done. But in this particular case, when we read all CVs, it only takes like about 4 or 5 seconds. But we can write individual CVs, and then here you can go to the CVs by group. So if you have a set of CVs that you like in your fleet, rather than trying to find them in the menus, you can just go in here. You can either read and write individual CVs, where you just type in the value, write, type it in, write, or whatever. Or you can go into the page. So here you can see the list of the CVs, and then you see the CV 3 and 4 there, my acceleration and deceleration. And all of them have the CV number and their description. So as you scroll through the list, you'll be able to see what each of those CVs are set to. Now, when you go back, you can go to CVs page 1. These are the 1.0 CVs, CV 1.257 to 1.512. And again, you have the description. So if you want to just go find these CVs quickly, you can usually go through and find it. Same thing with CVs page 2. There's all your 2.whatever CVs, and then your 3.t CVs. So all of those are there. Now, there's a couple of neat little things I want to show you here. First off is we have CV backup. And what that does is that will allow me to back up all the settings on my decoder, store it in the memory of my app, so that next time I go and program, I can make changes. And let's say I don't like what I just did, I can always hit that next one there where it says CV restore, where I can flash everything back into it. So when I go to restore, what it's going to do is it's going to set everything to the last backup, which I did just before I hit record on this camera. So when I hit OK, now it's going to go through and start writing all of those CVs that have been stored in the memory of the app. And so when we changed that start voltage, or back EMF reference voltage just a few moments ago, you're actually going to see that that's going to go back to 150, because that was before I made the change. And that was when I last stored it. So it does take a little bit longer because it is writing each CV instead of reading. So it will take probably about 30 seconds or so. That's a little more than halfway done right now. But all of this is being done while the decoder's on your live powered track, because again, the communication between the app and the decoder is exclusive. There's nothing else going on. There's nobody else involved in this communication. It's just the decoder talking to it back and forth. So we'll give it a few more seconds here. And we are done. So now all my CVs have been restored to the last backup. Now we're going to go ahead and test that. So CV 215 is where my back EMF reference voltage was stored. So as I scroll to the list, you'll see that CV 215 has been restored to a value of 150 here on the screen. And then just to show it, we'll go back to speed settings and whoops, wrong thing here. We're going to go to the motor tuning and see, you can see there the reference voltage is now back to 150. So you can actually save the settings as you play with the decoder and learn more about the features. And then as you find the values you like or the settings you like, you can always back them up again. And then if you decide you don't like what you just did, you can always undo it using that CV backup or CV restore. Now, just because I'm going to be full consistent here, I'm going to set this back before I forget. And we're going to hit save. And now it's back to 120. Now I'm going to show you how quick it is to back up. So we're going to go to my CV settings. And I'm going to hit CV backup right now. You'll see the screen already says backed up. That means it's already done it. So it's already stored it in the memory. So now when I back up, it's going to restore CV215 to a value of 120, which is what I wanted. Now, here's another really neat feature is copy CVs to other loco. What that does is that if I have two of these GEVOs that I want to have matched, and I've wired all the lights to the same lighting outputs, you know, FX3 or FX4, whatever, I can just hit CV, copy CVs to other loco. And right now, this is the only locomotive I'm connected to, but I could click that and then I can go through and find the locomotive I'm going to match and then hit enter. And then just like as fast as we just saw, it's going to go back and you'll have two perfectly matched locomotives except the address, because the app knows they're going to have their own unique address. So it doesn't overwrite that. It doesn't overwrite the nickname. It just overwrites the important CVs, and then you can readdress it later to something else, or you may have already done it. Again, it's up to you. Then there's copy utility. So if you want to blast it out to a couple of decoders at a time, you can do that. And then there's the reset decoder. So as you can see, the app really does help make things a lot easier when you're running and setting up your decoder. Now, as far as operation, you have to remember the Blunami is still a DCC decoder. So if you want to use this when you're running, that's great. You certainly can. Just remember you can use the Blunami app for easy setup, nice and clean user interface so that you can select it and make sure that your selections are what you want, and then run your train whether you use the app or the throttle. It's entirely up to you. That's everything for this episode, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below, or shoot us an email at support@soundtraxx.com, and we can have a more detailed conversation than what we traditionally do in the comments. Make sure that you understand what you're asking and make sure that you understand the answer we give you. We're here to help. We're partners in this. We want to help make sure you enjoy not only our SoundTraxx products, but also your hobby in general. So give us a shout, give us an email. We'll be happy to help you. That's it for this time, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.